few moments later.
Alright, hello Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike. I'm the Nightwing, Way of Life Esports, coming at you guys with another League of Legends video. And the 2020 Spring Split for the LEC Week 2 has just concluded, and I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and opinions. So if you are still new to the channel, what I do is when a week concludes is that I give my thoughts and opinions on what happened during the week, how I felt watching the games, the bad, the good, and now, since that's pretty much a given at this point, let's start. So we got to see some pretty good games this week, a lot more better quality in terms of how the top tier teams are, why they're the top tier teams, and then you have the bottom tier teams, and you kind of understand where the big gap is at, and that is going to start pretty much with the two worst teams in the league, and it's a real toss-up right now. Who is worse, Schalke or Vitality? Now, coming into the split, I really didn't think that Schalke would actually be 0-4 and starting at the bottom of the LEC Spring Split standings. I really actually thought that they had enough players in their caliber and enough of the other talent across their roster to really propel them into a 5th, 6th place position. But right now, they and Team Vitality look like they're the worst teams in the league, and looking at how a lot of these teams are actually playing, they're playing as if they're trying to understand how the rookies want to play while executing different levels of dives, objective control, and we're not really seeing them find themselves on a cohesive level. And then you have like the middle pack teams where it's like Excel, Mad Lions, you know, teams like them are actually pretty decent all the way around. I think that Excel is showing us why they can be a clear-cut dark horse team, you know, this split. I think we've only seen them get better every single week. Yes, they might actually lose, and watching them lose this week wasn't as bad as watching them lose last year, and I thought that them losing last year was just because they just had bad players all the way around. But now, with this roster, when they lose, it's like they could have won that game. And that's how I felt when they lost to, I forgot the team they actually lost to this week in their second game. They lost to Misfits, and you really do think that, you know, they have what it takes to be a lot better, and that's why I'm kind of frustrated when they actually lose. Not more or less so from a fan perspective, but you just see good in their roster, and you saw, you know, Youngbook talk about that, is that they have a good team. They just have to find what their actual game plan is and overall go for it. And looking at these other teams, I'm not really too sure what we can really say about them. I mean, like, if we even just start with some of the more bottom tier teams, let's start with one that nobody really kind of thinks is going to be worth talking about or mentioning, but obviously this is the LEC video and I'm going to mention them, is SK Gaming. So SK have looked really out of sorts. I don't know if they're one of the worst teams, but they did get that win, you know, early on last week. And, you know, I think that Trick is not going to be the player that Selfmade is. I'm pretty sure at this point, Trick is just happy he got an LEC starting position. And you're looking at the roster, Sakurai, you know, Limit, and what's his name? Forgot the guy, the AD carry. What is his name? Oh my gosh, Crown Shot. You know, they have something for them, and their overall team cohesion is just not there, and that's how you can kind of tell who is a pretty good LEC team versus a, you know, top tier LEC team. And even the middle pack, there's a big gap between what is a trash team, what is a middle pack team, and then what is the top level teams. Like, you can clearly see a difference, and that could be because the top teams are getting better while the worst teams are just getting worse overall. I mean, to be fair, in Vitality's case, they've been just as good as they've been bad throughout their tenure in the LEC anyway. So is that really not to be expected? The same thing could be said for Schalke when they first entered the EULCS way back then. So, you know, I think that these orgs have had a, you know, a history of doing bad. So me seeing them do bad is actually not that surprising. But just looking past SK, I'm almost confident in saying that they're still pretty much better than Vitality and Schalke, but they also look bad, and that is just sad for me to say. Now, looking at the other bottom tier teams, I'll talk about them in Misfits. Misfits made a lot of improvements this week, and that was actually pretty good to see. You saw Febevin talking about it, him going like, yeah, we don't want to start 0-4. That's a pretty hard place to crawl out of. It's really hard to make playoffs when you're 0-4. Bwipo talked about that, last year when they were in this position, is that getting to playoffs while being 0-4, you have to like bank on, tiebreakers and a bunch of other things. And plus your schedule, if it starts off easy, like these bottom tier teams have had the easy schedule, it only gets harder actually. It doesn't get easier. So if they want to make playoffs, they're going to have to really pick it up here. And I'm not really sure if either Misfits, SK Gaming, or Team Vitality or Schalke have what it takes or not to actually do that. But looking at Misfits, I like what they did this week. I like their improvements. Still not really happy with a lot of their decision making per se, but I thought it was actually pretty good. I'll give them credit where credit is due. They looked pretty good in terms of improvement wise, because that week one, oh my god, they were so garbage. They were so bad. I don't even know why they loaded into the Rift. Why they played week one? They looked like trash. All right. People are going to want me to talk about Schalke because I did have them pretty high on my LEC power rankings. So it was G2, Fnatic, Origin, Rogue, and then I had Schalke because of, they had some pretty good pieces. And then like 6th through 10th, you could kind of just put anybody in there. I could literally care less. I got a chance to miss my LEC power rankings. I wasn't going to do a full power ranking. I was just going to power rank the top 5 teams I thought was actually going to be pretty good. But yes, Vitality looked like trash. I mean, they were going to lose to G2. They had a better draft than G2. Still lost better players. GG, better team wins. That's how it works. So they lost to G2 pretty handily. Then they faced Rogue, another top 4 team. They got easily dismantled. It was not even close. I don't know what their game plan is. I don't know what they're attempting to do on the map. They're just loading up, playing League, and getting paid for it. Are they stealing checks? I mean, aren't we all really stealing checks from someone who's paying us? I'm not really too sure how that analogy goes, but Vitality looks pretty bad. They don't even have a best player. Cableshard is trying a lot of stuff. They're attempting dives. Like they're trying. It's just nothing's clicking, maybe these players aren't meant to play together, and that's just how it works, but it is only week 2. All right, Schalke. I mean, like, you guys have Gilius. I mean, it's not him, obviously, but, these players, I just don't think mesh well together. And, you can put together a ragtag roster on paper, and it might get you playoffs, but to be fair, at one point, that will catch up to you, and right now, it's already catching up to them. If it's already catching up to them at this point, just imagine what playoffs are going to look like. Horrible. I mean, they just look bad. I think Forgiven's actually played pretty well. Despite what's been going on, I think he's actually played pretty well, but that's not enough, and I just don't think that it's really going to actually get them far. Did I say fur? I said it's going to get them fur. Sorry. It's not going to really get them that far. I just don't think that they're actually going to be pretty good anymore. I mean, I had them pretty high up in my power rankings, but, hey, sometimes you're wrong in those things. All right, talked about SK, Misfits, Vitality, Schalke. Let's talk about Mad Lions. I saw some pretty good things out of them. Their Schalke win only further cemented how I think about them currently at the moment. You have a lot of rookies. You have Humanoid. Humanoid's actually looked pretty bad so far. I don't know if you guys have actually watched him. He's looked like he's some boosted garbage at the moment. But nevertheless, you are playing with rookies, so the cohesion is probably not going to be there between all of them so far. But I do like what they've actually showed so far. It's just that Humanoid's actually their weak link, which is surprising to say. I think they actually have the best rookies out of the, squads that have picked up rookies in the offseason from the LEC. I like what Mad Lions are doing. They're making improvements. It's totally fine. And they beat Schalke, so, that's saying something. All right, let's go to Rogue. Rogue lost to Origin. They played a really close game, and then they beat Vitality. So Rogue have actually been playing a lot better. Inspired, Larson, and Finn look great. They all look great, though. And the issue is, come toward the end of the year, who's going to go to Worlds? And it's going to suck if we have to choose between Origin and Rogue, because I really think Rogue is a top 3 team. I think that Origin is a top 3 team. I don't think there's really a top 4 right now in the LEC. I really think it's just 4 teams, but it's just a debate on which is the third best team, which is between Origin and Rogue. And Rogue looks great. I think their game against Origin was super close. I think the miscommunication between objective control and where they needed to be versus where Origin knew where they needed to be is a problem, but that can be fixed later on anyway. All right, let's talk about Origin. They lost to G2. They played an interesting game against Rogue. Pretty back and forth. That's expected between, you know, top 3, top 4 team. I should expect that coming into the match. Thought it looked pretty good from them. Most of the roster is showing why they're veterans, why they're considered, you know, stars in their position. Xerxes, Nukeduck, Upset, Alfari been playing great. I think Destiny is becoming his own actual support player, which is really good for future splits to have him in the LEC. And going up against G2, I don't understand why people even thought they were on the same level as G2. This is coming from a G2 fan. I don't even know what you people are thinking. They're not better than G2. But, I mean, it's all for the hype videos and stuff like that. And the hype videos for the LEC, I'm going to be reacting to those because those are actually really lit. And, yeah, like the video if you think I should be reacting to hype trailers. But, yes, Origin, still in my opinion, still top 3 team, still great things to come. I like this roster. All right, next team is Fnatic and their lovely redesigned logo, which essentially looks the same. I don't know, but I refuse to understand why Bwipo plays Rengar top. But outside of that, they actually look like they're really improving. Also as a team, you know, outside of their Origin clap game that they got destroyed in, they've looked better. Selfmade is actually playing just like how he played on SK Gaming before. Like in the previous games in week 1, he wasn't really showing that, but hey, it could be, you know, big nerves coming in. Fnatic is a very, very well-known organization, and he might have just probably felt like, oh my god, I'm really playing on Fnatic. This is like the second best team in the LEC, and I'm actually here. So, you know, that can happen. That initial shock value kicks in, but he's shown why they picked him up. We've seen these past few games, these last 3 games, where he's actually looked insane. And yeah, this Fnatic roster is looking real scary right now. All of them are playing on all cylinders. You know, Bwipo's still going to be a clown, but that's to be expected, obviously. And I'm really hyped to see G2 versus Fnatic next week. TSM versus Cloud9, SKT versus KT Roaster, and EDG versus RNG, because that's what we're going to be getting with G2 versus Fnatic. If you guys don't know what these stances mean, for traditional sports, if you guys are traditional sports fans, you have Lakers versus Celtics, Boston Red Sox, and New York Yankees. It's basically 2 teams with a big rivalry that is actually a rivalry. Like, you know, TSM and Cloud9 is actually a rivalry. KT versus SKT, or now it's called T1, is a rivalry. It's not like, you know, TSM versus CLG when it was just forced rivalry, you know, or EDG versus RNG is the, you know, well-known LPL rivalry. So, and now you get me talking about my favorite team, my other esports team I choose to follow is G2. They look great. They dismantled Origin, they dismantled Vitality, and you see all the improvements in the roster. I think that Cap still has to work on that ADC laning phase, but he's getting better at it. Perk's mid lane is looking pretty good so far. Wonder's been playing Soraka top. Riot announced they're gonna nerf Soraka top because who else is playing Soraka top beside him? Like, Riot, what are you doing? Like, who cares? But yes, Riot's gonna nerf Soraka top. The G2 are still the best team, head and shoulders above everybody else. But I think that it wouldn't be too wild to say Fnatic could beat them because Fnatic has looked a lot better. And looking at Fnatic's early game, I think Fnatic's early game is better than G2 so far, and that could give them the edge in their up and coming match. But hey, I'm all ready for it. Hashtag G2 win, and yeah, that's it. So I'll see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe, most of all, enjoy. I'm the Nightwing, and Way of Life Esports is signing out.
Hi there, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah, thank you.